And what's going on, Read My Lips people? We are back. So, Secular Talk, hosted by Kyle Kalinske, actually covered something not too long ago that caught my attention. And he covered a segment on PBS. PBS did an overview of the Democratic primary as it stands. And they conveniently left out a couple of the candidates. Now, it's clear who is relevant and who isn't at this current time. But I think PBS completely forgot about that. Let's take a look at their overview, come back, and talk about it.
In their grand overview of the Democratic primary, they don't say a word about Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, or Bernie Sanders.
There are twists, turns, 2 in and 2 out, with 2 months to go until the first votes. Yamiche Alcindor brings us up to speed on the race for the White House.
This is a Democratic field in flux. Candidates on the rise are shoring up weaknesses.
Mass incarceration must end. It's that simple.
Candidates whose campaigns are lagging are looking for a second wind.
What are the challenges for you as a small business owner?
Our kids are watching.
And still other candidates are dropping out entirely. Today, it was Montana Governor Steve Bullock who left the race. Yesterday, it was former Pennsylvania Congressman Joe Sestak, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, former Vice President Joe Biden. The Hawkeye state is also key for California Senator Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, a new campaign ad for Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar in Iowa was a focus too for New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. The tenor was different at a weekend Iowa stop for Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Joe Biden is ahead in all of the national polling and has had a pretty consistent lead. Pete Buttigieg's problem, as you pointed out,
has been Elizabeth Warren's surge. And then we're talking about Mike Bloomberg, who's been spending all this money. I mean, he spent $50 million.
So, if you happen to notice, not a word of Tulsi Gabbard, not a word of Bernie Sanders, and not a word of Andrew Yang. So, you just don't, by happenstance, forget these people. You are choosing to not talk about Tulsi Gabbard. You are choosing to not talk about Andrew Yang. You're going out of your way to do that. 100%. So, when people say, oh, you're imagining things, or you're making things up that aren't there, or, oh, it's not actually a media blackout for Yang. The proof is in the pudding. I don't know how much more convincing some people need, but they are trying their absolute damnedest to pretend that Yang isn't a force, to pretend that Tulsi Gabbard isn't there, to pretend that Bernie Sanders doesn't exist. So, this is a snub. This is a snub in every way, shape, and form. And I will continue to point out when things like this happen. Because sometimes people become complacent. Sometimes people just let things slide. And we have to keep pushing it in their face like, hey, Yang exists and we see what you're doing. And it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating because this man is working so hard. He's working tirelessly. And they just turn their head and pretend he's not there. And it's because there's a bias. There's a media bias. And if you have a bias, that's fine. But put it front and center. If you go to Secular Talk, Kyle Kalinske is pro-Bernie. If you go to Humanist Report, he's pro-Bernie. I'd say David Pakman at this point might be a little more pro-Elizabeth Warren. But if you go to certain channels, put your bias up front and center so we know who you are and what you stand for. And if we choose to listen to you after that, that's on us. But these corporations, these media conglomerates, these news stations, these CNNs, these MSNBCs, these Fox News, they pretend to be fair and balanced. They pretend that they don't have a bias. And it's really disrespectful because the bias is all up in your face. But you're pretending that you don't have one, so it's like you're calling me stupid. It's like, don't believe your lying eyes. So, yeah, man. Completely disrespectful from PBS. I'm doing an overview of the Democratic primary. You fucking mentioned Kamala Harris, who's gone. Think about that. You ignored Andrew Yang. You shine light on Kamala Harris. And she's gone. But the guy nobody knew 7 minutes ago is still in this thing. And you refuse to talk about him. I feel like they view Andrew Yang as sort of like, oh, that's cute. This is cute. He's entertaining now that he's here. He's cute. I mean, he's not going to become president. We don't want him for president. But it's cute that he's here. It's cute. He can stay around a little bit longer. But it's like they don't want to take him serious, man. And it's incredibly disrespectful. It's incredibly disrespectful. You know, as a kid, you grew up, you know, watching PBS. You know what I mean? And then as an adult, you're like, oh, they're just as shitty as everybody else. You don't see it when you're younger. When you're an adult, you see it for what it is. That's an overview of the Democratic primary. That's not an accurate overview. What kind of overview is that? So it just gets a little irritating seeing this done over and over and over and over and over again to him. They are trying to do to him what they did to Bernie in 2016. They absolutely are. And look, Sanders supporters are jaded. They're jaded. They're jaded. Bernie Sanders supporters sometimes will come off as mean or nasty because they are jaded. The candidate that they poured their heart into, the person that they thought was going to change things, got completely screwed. And they watched it happen in real time. They watched them be forgotten. They watched them be smeared. And then they watched them get screwed. And they're jaded. You don't think Andrew Yang fans are going to be jaded? You don't think Yang Gang's going to be jaded if you screw Yang? Like, if you don't even give dude a fair shot? You don't think they're going to be jaded as well? They're going to be jaded as all get up. You don't want to put them on prompters. You don't want to put them on graphics. I'm doing a Democratic overview. This is what's going on. And you ignore Yang. And they're doing the same thing to Tulsi, and they're going to continue to try to do it to Bernie. They can't do it to Bernie as much because of where he is in the polls. Don't get me wrong, they try. But they can't do it as much. But they are definitely doing it to Tulsi and Yang. Definitely, 100%. And it's ugly. It's ugly, and they should be ashamed. They should be ashamed of themselves. But things like this should only make you go harder, because we will be heard. We will be heard, and we're not going to let you ignore us. We're not going to let you forget us. We're going to be on your ass. So, yeah, I just felt the need to share that. Incredibly annoying. I view it as disrespectful. Even more so than forgetting him on the graphic. The graphic's disrespectful because they did it 15 times. But PBS talking about they're doing an overview of the Democratic primary as it stands and not mentioning those three people is absurd. That is ridiculous. So donate, support, buy merch, do whatever you can do. Spread the word. Go out there, start yanging people. Do whatever you can do on your end. Because only one of us is minuscule. But together, we are a force. Together, we can create change. so we got to do that. We got to do that, especially because if he gets through the primaries, it's a breeze. If he gets to the primaries to the general, it's a breeze. Yeah, PBS. Shame on you. Also, don't forget, guys, I'm going to New Hampshire New Year's Eve, and I'm going to meet Andrew Yang. And this is an exciting time for me. This is going to be dope. I'm going to be hanging out with Russell from Grassroots Yang Gang and his lovely family, and I'm going to see Yang. So this is an exciting time. December is going to be an exciting month for me, and I'm going to make sure I can reciprocate my excitedness onto you guys, so it can be also an exciting time for you guys as well. So if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you don't, let me know in the comment section why. I'm always down to talk about it. Also, I have a PayPal, a Cash App, and a Venmo link in the description below. Any and all donations are going to be used for New Hampshire and to help my channel grow. So every little bit is appreciated. Hopefully I'll be talking to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.
My girl is in the club, yeah, we're feeling down the beat, yeah, the music on repeat, baby. I don't care, no one like you don't need me. I know that you can feel me. We're dancing with my bling bling, running.